Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Jason and Pili Project. Like I said, this amazing woman that I have with me today, she is fantastic. She's all about why women must be connected to their inner state. She's all about growth. You know what? Enough of me talking. I want to introduce to you Stacy. Welcome to the show, Stacy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So excited to have you. So tell me a little bit about your mission and a little bit about how you got into it, your big why.
Yes, such a great question. So, I love the saying, that the message or the gift that we have to give to this world is so often found in our own mess, right? Our own challenges. Once we get through those ourselves or, see another perspective, we are able, to truly see that, that's our message and gift to give to the world. And so my mission really, started pretty early in my life where I constantly found myself bringing, order to chaos is how I described it, in my early childhood and just my role and how I, always ended up in my friendships and things like that. And so what I really wanted to give to the world and to, women specifically is the gift of understanding that if you can be clear and calm in your inner state and understand, the things that, naturally as women, we've oppressed for a long time, not because we've chosen to, but that's the history of our, gender and everything. That if we can understand that getting to the bottom of that is where we find freedom and fulfillment, that is where the magic can then really happen. And so my mission is to, bring clarity to women change makers all over the globe to understand whatever those blocks are so that they can become free of them, free of the shackles, to create the life they want to live, the impact that they want to make, and truly be happy and fulfilled. I think a lot of us are happy externally in how we're showing up to the world, but, go home quite often. I know I did for a long time, just feeling like there's this void. And as I learned how to resolve that, that's truly my mission to help others resolve that.
So I love the why. I just want to key in a couple of things. Women change make how as leaders in whatever business we're in, whether it be real estate, clothing, design, you name it, whether we're creators or content makers, filling that void that has happened throughout, millennia at this point, and how to take ourselves out of that. So you've given me such an amazing why, but how? How do we change that which has been kind of inbred into us through generations of just culture and just the way we were brought up, or, et cetera, et cetera? How do you overcome what seems to be a really, really big feat?
It is definitely, when you think about it, because it's so in the distance for us, meaning we haven't a lot of times connected to what it is we're speaking of right now. And so it can be overwhelming almost to see the way. And so I like to simplify everything that I do for others. So like as soon as I wrap my arms around something, my mission is to then simplify it, in my explanation. And so the first step is pretty simple, and that is asking yourself how you feel about something. I mean, it's pretty typical that challenges that we have as women, they're in one area of life, maybe in multiple areas, but they're keyed into those areas that we know we're struggling with. And so asking ourselves how we feel seems like such a simple question, but there's a lot to it because quite often we don't stop to actually connect to how we feel. We put it in a beautiful file over here in the file cabinet. And I'm so guilty of this. And it's only once that turns into, the crazy dragon breathing fire, because it's just gotten to that point, it's then when we address it. But at that point, it's much more of a process to get to the bottom of it. And so the first step is to ask ourselves, how are we really feeling about this situation that's challenging us? And it's very common that you don't know right away. There's a surface emotion. And what I recommend is just asking yourself that for 7 days consistently. Just take 5 minutes and just ask, like, what is this feeling? I even go so far as, once I identify the feeling, to look up the definition online and look up its opposite. Because when I do that, it opens up this other door of, oh, I can see how that's connected and how I have, suppressed it so that, I didn't have to deal with the conflict or whatever the situation. And so again, while that seems like really simple, what that does is it starts to encourage you to get in the habit of connecting to yourself, because we're disconnected from ourselves, which then causes the chaos externally. So that's those first steps of getting connected. So once you identify those emotions, get connected to where they originated, but don't stay there. It's just important to connect those parts of yourself, kind of like a puzzle. It's like, once you get the puzzle put together, you don't just stop and look at the puzzle, right? You typically throw it back in the box. That's not what I'm saying, but just, connect and understand that that's a part of the equation. And then there's the next part of, like, what do you want to create, knowing what your foundation is.
So all that is just so amazing, starting off with your foundation. And I totally understand what you mean by that double-headed, crazy dragon that just explodes out of you. Sometimes it feels like out of nowhere because you've kept all your feelings in, but exploring, like, especially for us as women, I don't want to put a blanket statement, but especially for us as women, we need to really explore those feelings, take them out, put them in front of us and say, why is this?
Right.
So now that we've dug deep into the feelings and aspirations as you as a woman leader, tell me a little bit more about your business and how all of this, your mission, coincides with that.
Yes. So I have a real estate team. We work, on the residential sector with new construction and buyers and sellers. And the way that has, I'll say, like, interweaved throughout the organization is just calling each member of the team to live at their highest and best level, and asking them to look at themselves, both men and women on our team, to ask what it is they truly want. And so it's really helped our company succeed in a more authentic way versus, setting the goals and forcing to completion and, feeling that sense of that same void at the end of the year, of like, what else is missing? We have a very whole life approach with the team to make sure we know their goals, both personally and professionally, so we can keep them in check. I have one team member I have to force to take days off because he's so excited about the projects he's working on, but he's going to burn out, right? So just really incorporating that to make it a whole life approach. And then as I've started working more and more with women leaders, one-on-one, that has the model that I spoke of in the beginning is a big part of, the work we do in the one-on-one sessions. I work very diligently to a result. So, if a woman wants to work through something in 6 weeks or 6 months, it's a very customized program to get to the bottom of whatever is happening. And I blend, meditation and mindfulness and raising consciousness into that conversation. And so those are the ways that I'm utilizing this in the companies.
So why do you think is leading from that clear inner state, that clear mind, that clear heart, getting rid of that dragon? Why is that important for these high performers, these leaders, no matter if you're a man or a woman or anything in between? How do you create high performers by achieving that high and clear inner state?
Yes. So when you're operating from that clear inner state, what that does is it sets a completely different tone for your organization. You show up in a calm and clear way that you can see opportunities before others may. You may be able to cut right through the fluff to get to the result you're after. And because you don't have the stress and chaos, etc., internally, you're able to show up for the people within your organization and help them be on their way to that path of, clarity and calm, so that they can be a part of the ripple effect. You show up differently with clients, obviously, advising them in whatever way to make the highest and best decision. Where if you're in that stressed, chaotic state, you're thinking about yourself. How am I going to make this next sale? How am I going to survive, right? It's more survival. And so this is more of a methodology to perform and have high performers based on you all truly thriving from that clear and calm inner state. Now, let's be clear. There are stressful situations and tons of chaos. I'm not talking about externally. I'm just talking about when those things come your way, you're handling them for what they are instead of almost like going through it twice, where you're handling it for what it is and you're also going through a whole story inside of this crappy situation, this client, blah, blah, blah. You're not going through that stress. So it's just a different game.
I love the blah, blah, blah part. I'm usually good at sourcing quotes from people, but it's the blah, blah, blah that I want to pinpoint, because that's what goes through all of our heads as real estate agents in real estate or whatever business that you are in, or lister of mine. So everything that Stacy just said, please go back and listen to that, because that is how to come from a clear mind, especially from an agent's point of view. Because Stacy, you and I both very well know we have a fiduciary duty to our clients. So if we're having that blah, blah, blah in our head, are we at our highest and best? And are we really serving our clients?
No, right? I think it's such a block. And they also feel a sense of, it's a different experience for them, because they're like, are they stressed because they know something about my deal that they don't want to tell me yet? I mean, there's just so many ways it could go, but it affects their confidence in you, because your blah, blah, blah is affecting your confidence, right? So it's just a domino effect.
Hey guys, again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our show.
And if you love what you see, and I know you do, please rate, review, and subscribe. It would mean so much to us.
Yeah, it absolutely means the world to us, helps us get out to a wider audience, really just capture more people that we can help you with this show. Again, if you're getting value, check us out. Thank you again.
So grateful to you.
How do you succeed without that stress? How do you use all the things that you've talked about? How do you incorporate that? You know what, let's just pinpoint agents right now. How do you incorporate that in your life, especially as an agent right now in this time? We're in COVID, so agents are particularly susceptible, especially here where I live in New Jersey. Agents from the very beginning were considered as they were an integral part. They were needed. So even though the rest of the state was on quarantine, they were still needed to do their part to keep the economy going. So how do you talk to agents who are just kind of scared right now? How do you settle them, and how can they start to succeed again with or without, hopefully, the stress that they're going through?
Yeah, so the biggest thing, I think is to stay educated on what's happening in the world, but keep your world separate. And what I mean by that is keep, focused on your goals, your business, and what you're here to achieve. And what that really takes is a structured routine. If I look at the things that help, the agents I work with and myself, it's having that daily routine that sets me up every morning. I think that it's very easy, especially right now. Most markets have short supply, and so it's very busy when there is supply, multiple offers, and it's very hectic. And so agents need to remember that they are the professional of their life and the leader of their clients. And what I mean by that is they need to make sure that they protect time for themselves. I mean, morning routines is definitely like the best way.
I'm huge on morning routines because I have my own. Talk a little bit about what your morning routine is and how my listeners can maybe incorporate some of the awesome things that you do.
Yeah, so like everything I said, I like to simplify it. So everything that I'll talk about today, it's simple, but it's reliable. So it's like, no matter how crazy your day is, you can be sure to execute it. You could add things to it, accessorize the routine, but at least you have something to start with. So my routine is what I call the triple threat, and it's 3 stages, 3 steps. And the first step is to do conscious breathing for 3 minutes. And so this routine, is 10 minutes at like minimum, or as much as 30 minutes to an hour, depending on where you're at.
I'm still here.
Okay, great. So as far as the first step, 3 minutes of conscious breathing. And so what you'll do is you'll turn your phone timer on for 3 minutes, and you'll just take a deep inhalation and a deep exhalation and do that for 3 minutes. So that's stage 1. And the point of that is to connect to your breath, pay attention to your breath. Just know that thoughts never stop. So, don't get attached to that idea. It's to kind of lay the groundwork for the next 2 steps. So once you complete that first step, then the second step is to focus on 3 things you're grateful for. And sometimes, especially when you're short on time, it can be challenging to think of what you're grateful for because you're thinking about what you have to do. And so the solution for that is to simply think of the last 12 to 24 hours and think of the little things you're grateful for. Grateful that you could go on a walk with your family. Grateful that you can walk. Little things like that train your brain to look for small things that are positive, which trains your brain to focus on that type of stuff compared to negative, which is like our default. So when you simplify that and you just focus on those small gratitudes, and it can be large, I'm just giving it a basic example. When you focus on the small gratitudes, then again, that just kind of is that like miracle grow before you like plant the plants in the soil of the garden that you just kind of created with your breathing. So first step is the breathing. Second step is the 3 gratitudes. And then the third step is to review your short and long-term goals. And these, of course, change quarter to quarter, month to month. It's different for all of us. But what I find is by calming my mind, focusing on the good, and then focusing on the short and long-term goals, it allows me to stay really deeply connected to what I'm after each day, and helps me focus during the day to make sure my actions are tying back to those short and long-term goals. So that's the morning routine I do.
I love everything that you had right there. I also have a morning routine. I sort of took mine from Hal Elrod and then kind of like just made into my own, because you learn so many things from so many different people. And I love the fact that you've taken and you kind of just sourced it to kind of it's everything that you need to succeed. So anyone that's listening to this, your morning routine could consist of basically anything that's good for you. But following what Stacy just said, having 3 minutes just to yourself and listening to your breath and breathing deeply, having those 3 moments of gratitude, that's key. Just thinking about that right now, I'm just like, okay, having a moment of gratitude right now. I'm grateful for this moment. I'm grateful for the ability to stand. Like you said, it could be simple things, and I'm grateful for the ability to breathe. And then goal setting, going through your goals. I mean, how many times do the people that follow you, or do my listeners out there, how many times do you write your goals down and then you never look at it again? You need to look at them daily, make them real, put them inside you. So everything you just said, that morning routine, giving people that base in their day, and your business that you followed, and the people that follow you, and the fact that you tell your people to take a break, because that just tells me that you have a spirit that takes care of the people that work with you. And as a leader of organizations, of real estate organizations, whether you're flipping, wholesaling, if you're an agent, you need to have that duty to the people that work with you. So what would you say to those leaders that have staff, that have people that work with them? How can you best serve the people that work with you?
Yeah, I think that they, more than anything, need your leadership in the framework of, not only accountability, but showing them, as a leader, we see possibility, right? And I think the biggest thing is we have this opportunity to show people their possibility, like what's possible for them, bigger than than what they thought possible. And I just think that helping them see that in themselves, and then show them the way, show them, the 3 steps or the 1 step, or, whatever they could do to improve. I just think that is the biggest thing that we can do, to help the people that are within our care. I think it's Simon Sinek that says, I don't want to butcher the quote, it's such a great quote, but something to the effect of, if you're a leader, it's not a position to be in charge of others, but that we take care of the people within our charge, within our circle. So
yes, all of that. I mean, servant leadership, that's the way it should be, because as leaders, we serve the people we work with, we serve the people we work for, and don't forget, all you leaders out there, don't forget to serve yourself, and not, I don't mean that by a selfish way, and I know you understand this, Stacy. And we're coming full circle now, how can a leader best serve themselves?
Yeah, I think that the best thing is to be sure to connect with yourself, even as the year goes by, because it's so easy to have the wins and the achievements throughout the year, and your vision becomes different. It evolves quicker than a 12-month calendar year. And so I think just honoring your truth every step of the way is such a powerful move as a leader, because I think so often it can be easy to, feel like, okay, we committed to this and we can't change, and, we don't want to let people down, but, in letting ourselves down, we don't serve them either. So just, really being connected to that. And then I think just the reminder of that, self-care, it's talked about so much, which is great. It really needs to be talked about. And I think just figuring out your model, whatever that is for your self-care, because, it truly isn't worth it if you don't have your health, and every time you take time off, you're sick or something like that, so just being really connected to that, I think is important.
I love it. It's like being self-mindful, self-motivated, being aware of yourself. So if my listeners want to find out more about any of your programs, and find out more, and maybe they need to sell a house, you never know. If they want to find more about you, Stacy, where can they go to?
Yes, so the best way is my website, which is limitlesswithstacyb.com.
Fantastic. Limitlesswithstacyb.com. We will drop that link in the notes below. Stacy, if you can give one more tidbit of advice for anyone who wants to get started in real estate. Maybe they want to be an agent, maybe they want to get into investing. How should they start right now, this moment? Give me one action step.
Yeah, if you want to pursue investing as an example, I recommend getting in touch with a couple of mortgage officers and asking the questions, because it's a surprise to a lot of people that, they could get started before they thought they could, or maybe they need to do some work on their credit. At least you have a plan then you could make to position yourself for that investment or investing.
Stacy, I've asked that question to probably over 500 different real estate investors and agents, and I think that was the best answer I have ever gotten. Okay, so folks,
fantastic.
Go talk, if you want to get into real estate, go talk to a mortgage broker. They know all about the finances and the ins and outs of real estate, and make friends with them, because they're going to be your buddies soon enough. So coming from Stacy, that was the best answer I've ever heard. So thank you for that, Stacy.
You're too kind, of course.
So Stacy, thank you again for coming on. I was honored to have you on. And for all my listeners out there, I am so very grateful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. This was great.
Join us for your second cup of coffee every Monday through Friday at noon.
Live every day, bringing us our best content we've done so far. Super excited, super engaging, bunch of great guests. We're here to answer your questions, and we so appreciate you listening. Make sure to check this out.
Can't wait to see you.